Hey, everybody, and thanks for listening to the Kick Your Boots Up podcast. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and share this with your friends if you like what you see, and even if you don't, that's okay too. It's all about the views. No, today we are about to have some boss babe talk. I'm so excited that Laura is on. You're going to get to know a little bit about her, but before you do, I just want to kind of set this up a little bit and tell you who she is. Laura Young is the president of Brighton, and if you're not familiar with Brighton, you should be. Go to your local boutique, go to stores all around you. They have purses, bags, jewelry, you name it, they have it. And what's really unique about Brighton and the tie there is that not many of you guys know that we actually get to use licensees for our product here at Justin. So we get to have products that have the Justin name. So she's actually the president as well of Leegin, which is our belt licensee. So you're going to get to learn a little bit about their story and how it all started for them. But before we do that, Laura, thank you for being on the podcast. I'm so excited you're here. I can't wait to talk to you about it all.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a real treat, and to be sitting right in the Justin showroom.
Right across the street from your showroom,
right,
too. That's
exactly.
So cool.
I know.
And if you've been watching the podcast for long enough, you know that from time to time, we have some recordings happening at the WISA show at the Dallas Market Center. So right now, to set the stage for you guys, just so you know, WISA is a big 3-day in August. It's a 3-day, 4-day, 5-day event that happens at the Dallas Market Center. It's the Western and English Sales Association show where all the merchants have the opportunity to buy, sell, trade, you name it. It's happening here. So Laura, I know your schedule is so busy while you're here. And
We're all busy.
Yes, yeah. Well, I do appreciate you taking the time to be here. And before we get to know a little bit about Leegin, everyone that's listening to the podcast knows that they got to get to know about who the person is first. So tell us about your story and how you got to where you are today.
Well, that's a long journey.
It is.
That's
we
a
have
long
the time.
journey.
Buckle
Exactly.
up. Kick your boots up.
Exactly. Buckle up. No pun intended, since we make belts all over. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I joined Leegin and Jerry Cole in 1991. So,
wow,
33 years ago. It was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Oh, my goodness. So 33 years of Western knowledge, industry knowledge.
Yes. And believe me, when I started, Jerry Cole is the founder of the business. He and his wife, Terry, actually were high school sweethearts.
Oh.
And in high school, they had a little boutique, and they sold jeans like back in the late 60s and early 70s. And they bought belts from a company by the name of Leegin, Leegin. And it was owned by a couple of, they were kind of hippies, and they made belts and they made leather sandals, and they sold their belts to Jerry and Terry in their booth. And they were called Leegin belts. And very shortly afterwards, Jerry and Terry bought Leegin from Lee and Jenny. Lee and Jenny were surfers, and they lived near Venice Beach, and they actually preferred to surf than make belts. And so they decided they wanted to move to New Zealand where the surf was better. So Jerry Cole and at the time, Terry Cole, they bought the belt company, and they started making belts. And that's how it started.
The rest was history. And for you, when did you come into play in Leegin?
So I joined Jerry 20 years after he'd been the owner and founder of Leegin, making Leegin belts for men and some unisex belts. He sold jean belts and sold some private label for people like Banana Republic, The Gap.
Ooh.
And way back in the day, he made some Western belts for Larry Mahan.
Ooh,
I know.
Legend,
yes. Exactly. And so he'd been making men's belts for 20 years, and he decided he wanted to make ladies' belts because, quite frankly, ladies shop a little bit more than men shop.
We do spend the money, that's right.
So in the summer of 1990, he started making some ladies' belts, and he had 37 salesmen, 35 were men, 2 were women. And they weren't that interested in selling men's belts.
Okay.
I mean, women's belts.
Right,
Excuse me. They were interested in selling the men's belts to men's stores.
It's what they knew.
It's what they knew. They sold them to nice quality men's stores. They sold them to Western stores. And that's in jean shops and things like that. But they really weren't that interested in calling on lady stores. So one Sunday afternoon, I got a phone call from Jerry Cole, and he was wanting to learn a little bit about the ladies' business. And I had done that for 10 years.
Wow.
And so that's how it kind of started, with a phone call with Jerry.
Okay, so think back, I guess 33 years now. So let's say 43 years. Whenever you first started, you were fresh out of college. SMU you went to?
I went to SMU.
Okay, so think about when you were first out of college and you were getting ready to get that first big job 10 years before you moved to Leegin. What was that like for you? Do you remember a specific moment in time where you're like, I was eating ramen until...
Oh, yeah. Because when I graduated from SMU, we had this routine when you graduated at our house. You practiced this routine with my father. You you got your diploma in one hand and you returned the credit cards in the other.
No.
So this was the summer of 1980. And yes, I was not eating very well and I didn't have a job yet. But anyway, make a long story short, a sorority sister of mine, I was a Kappa at SMU, and a sorority sister of mine made belts in the little floppy bow ties like women wore back in the days as they were starting their careers.
Yes.
And I joined her in September of 1980 to help her with her ladies' belt business and scarf business. And so I was there for 10 years and that's what I did. I helped her in marketing and then ultimately became the vice president of marketing for her company for 10 years.
Oh my goodness. And did you, when you first graduated college, did you ever think in a million years that not only would you be at a belt and scarf company for 10 years, but then that you would go on to be at another belt company?
Never. And when I left Jenny Johansson and moved to Corpus because my husband had gotten transferred and I thought it'd be a good idea to go with him.
Fresh start,
so I gave her a year's notice, and my husband moved to Corpus and I stayed in Dallas with our kids and found our replacement. And then I moved down there, and about a year and a half later, I got that phone call from Jerry Cole.
And that was life-changing too, I think.
I'm so glad I answered the phone. He might not have called back, but it really was amazing. And basically, he was doing some due diligence to potentially talk to Jenny Johansson's father. Anyway, that didn't all work out. And he asked me, would you like to have dinner? And so I had dinner with him right here in Dallas at the mansion on Turtle Creek, and we hit it off. And
the factory at that point in time, they were still making belts in Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles, yes.
So you were here in Dallas. So I guess for 33 years, you've been commuting from Tyler, Texas area.
That's right.
To LA.
I have commuted to LA for 33 years.
Wow.
And you asked the question, did I ever think? When I just joined Jerry, I actually literally started part-time because I had a consulting job with a designer sportswear company here in Dallas.
Ooh, okay.
And a little jewelry company. So at Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'd fly from Corpus to Dallas and work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with Hairston Robertson. And then every other Thursday, I would work with Forey Hunziker for medallions. She made those sterling silver luggage tag earrings.
Yes.
And then I started part-time with Jerry Cole. And I just never dreamed. He just wanted some help with his sales force. He had 37 salesmen. 35 were men, 2 were women. Like the opposite where I came from, where all 28 were women. He just wanted some help to get the men's sales reps to call on women's stores with ladies' belts, and that's how it started. So we never dreamed we'd have a business like this.
Oh, I can only imagine that you didn't. And for you to have the knowledge that they were needing is so valuable. You immediately started the job with so much value, bringing it to the table. And so I can't help but ask. I normally ask this question towards the end, but right now I've got to ask you, what is your best piece of advice for someone that is maybe just graduated college, trying to get into an industry that is their niche, or past that, another piece of advice for someone who is loving their career but wants to maybe take it to the next level?
Well, I think you got to follow your heart, and you got to find your passion, and it's so important for you to find your passion. And for me, I love people, and I really love leading and helping people be their best. So I just think you got to find your passion, and you got to be yourself. You got to be true to yourself. Always do the right thing and be authentic. So that would be probably my advice.
That is such good advice, truly, because there's been so many times in my career, even just the short time that it's been, of kind of like an identity crisis, and you have to be able to go back to who you are, your core values, and that makes you. That makes So that's such great advice.
Well, if you think about your parents, they always say, do the right thing. You are the company you keep, meaning hang out with the right people.
Yes.
And do the right thing. Just do the right thing. And I think that's sort of always been sort of foundational for me. What would mother think?
Oh, for sure. Especially if you can relate to a small town.
Right.
I feel like
I can, because I grew up in Marshall, Texas.
That's
small
right.
town.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And your parents knew what you did before you got home from school, so don't even lie.
Let me just tell you, if you did something bad, your name was on the water tower.
Oh no, that's even worse.
It was a small town.
That is even worse. Well, it's funny that you brought that up about being relational and staying true to yourself, and people will like you that better, because I was literally just in the bathroom speaking with a random girl that I just met in the bathroom about, we're not necessarily in any kind of business here at WISA. We're in the people business.
Right.
It's all about networking and who you know and getting to know everyone. And I think for you, that's been the kind of keys to success for you, getting to be able to go to Brighton. So I guess let's transition a little bit more into that. You said you started part-time. I want to revisit that, because that is a success story right there. You weren't you were hustling. You were back and forth.
Right.
And then eventually you probably went on full time. Tell us about that,
I
how
did.
you got there.
About a year and a half later. My job really in the beginning was to help these salesmen, the 35 men, the 2 women, go call them ladies stores, more so than the men's the men's stores, and to help them sell in these ladies belts to ladies specialty stores. And that's what I did, just one at a time. And I just had a strategy and of getting them focused. We didn't redesign anything. We just, said, we need to teach you how to execute. Show up and show them was my motto. I said, if you show up at 3 stores a week, show the line twice, you'll get an order. And write me a note by midnight Saturday night. And every Sunday night, I published on my first little Lotus spreadsheet all 37 salesmen's names. So if you were, Frank Mumford, 3 calls, 2 demos, 1 order. David Bennett, 1 call, 1 demo, 1 order. If you didn't write me, I'd say no show. And I published the results, and I'd write each 37 salesman back an individual note, and we'd do the same thing. And we did that from May till December of 1991. And instead of selling 300 ladies stores, we ended up selling 1,200 ladies stores. Instead of selling 200,000, we ended up selling 1,750,000 just by getting the salesman focused.
Laura.
And so that's what we did. That's how we built the ladies belt business.
And as a girl, female, I can't help but cheer you on, because it took a lot to get those men in order. We can relate to that in the boot industry. The Western industry as a whole, there's probably primarily predominantly men. And so good for you.
But you gotta picture this. So it was May of 1991. And let me just tell you what had just happened.
Okay.
In January of 1991, Leegin and Jerry had gotten the license for Justin. And so when I joined to try to get these men to want to go call on lady stores, they wanted no part of that because they were so excited to have the license for Justin. I mean, that was pretty remarkable. So I had a lot of competition trying to get these men's sales reps to go call on lady stores. But the place was buzzing because it was such an honor to be given the opportunity to be the licensee for Justin. And then in 93, we got the license for Tony Lama. And that was like literally for a company to be able to represent both Tony Lama and Justin. I used to joke, it's like a beverage salesman getting Coke and Pepsi. So
the best two in the
two
industry.
Of the best names in the industry. So it's been an amazing journey when the Western part of the business, the women's part of the business, the men's part of the business. And we primarily sell independent specialty boutiques, not department stores.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how we built our business. And that's about the people, because these are independent, small, owner-operated stores for the most part.
Yeah.
That make their livelihood. And the Western industry is, that's how, can't get much more Americana than that.
No, you can't. And I think that provides hope to a lot of small business owners out there.
That's right.
I feel like a conversation I just had with a small business owner this week, was just, I feel like we're getting outnumbered by the big box stores and Amazon. Let's just say that right now. And it was really cool to hear this from you guys, that you're like, no, we care about everyone, but especially the small guys. We care about them and empowering them and giving them the tools to then be able to go and sell. And
well, if you think about it, Jerry Cole and his wife Terry were the small guy. They had their own little boutique back in the day, so they never forgot what it was like to be the small guy. And that's sort of been a guiding principle of us, is to help independent owner-operated retailers to make money. And we sell some bigger stores, like of course we sell Cavender's and Boot Barn,
and we love them.
Absolutely, and they're amazing. But but foundationally, it's thousands of these small businesses throughout America that has made our business.
They add up,
they
change
do.
makes $1, and then $1 makes $5.
That's right. Save those pennies.
Yes. Which nowadays I feel like is a little bit harder with inflation. And that's a whole nother podcast episode, I'm sure.
I don't know. My husband still has a coffee can that we keep our pennies in. So.
Okay, good. Well, I so appreciate that too, because my husband and I are old school, and we have a drawer or a jar that we keep, and we'll separate it. Whenever it gets full, we'll separate the quarters from the other coins.
Yes.
And the quarters usually go towards like car washes or vending machines or stuff. And one day we might get there. We might have a time where there's no coins left,
Yeah, exactly.
We get to hold on to them.
Yeah, be careful. One day I accidentally, when I dropped the coins in, I dropped my wedding ring in and lost it for 8 months.
8 months?
So be careful
in
what
the
you
jar.
put in the jar.
I was
exactly.
thinking,
I found it. I've been married for 41 years to my high school sweetheart.
You made it through that.
I made it through
well
that.
Then, while we're on the podcast, what do you think is the secret to 41 years of marriage?
Well, I travel to California a couple of times a month, so I'm teasing.
So you're away. That's the secret. Stay away.
No, you know what? You have to just be kind to one another, and look, I picked him out early. I couldn't even date when I met him in Marshall, and so I sort of knew right away. It took him about 11 years to figure it out. But anyway, it's been a great 41 years. He's an amazing, kind, amazing person.
Wow. And I am starting to relate to that. Whenever people say that as a single girl, I used to be like, yeah, okay. That's so gross.
No, seriously.
But truly, I'm year 2, so very new into marriage. And year 1 was hard. I'm not going to lie. I feel like year 1 is a little bit more challenging, but it's so beautiful. And when you support each other, you become a great team.
Well, listen, he brings me my coffee every morning when I'm home, which is pretty good.
Yes.
And he always makes sure my car's topped off with gas. So for those of you guys, bring her coffee and make sure she never has to pump gas.
And flowers sometimes, right?
Yes, flowers sometimes. Yes.
That's so good. I love that. And speaking of other gifts, belts, that's a good tie-in. Let's kind of break down Leegin's line a little bit because now we have more opportunities for even more women's belts.
Yes.
So yes, it is. There's a lot of men's options.
Right.
But maybe talk through some of the things we can expect. Like right here, this is a beautiful one to talk about too. There's tooling. There's different levels. Tell us about all of that.
Well, first of all, we make most of our belts in the United States.
Oh, yes,
we make about
key.
85% of our belts in the United States with factory workers in Los Angeles.
Wow.
And it's multiple generations of people that work in our factory. We have sometimes 3 and almost 4 generations of people who are hands-on. They're craftsmen. And we have our designers are there. They're footsteps away from the craftsmen that are in the sample making room, tooling and making the first samples before we make the dies. So everything is made by hand, and it's really remarkable. I remember the first time that I flew to Los Angeles for Jerry to show me the factory. And if you've ever remembered the movie Norma Ray, it was like walking in. It was like the Norma Ray of belts. It was just like buzzing. But these people are passionate about their hand craftsmanship, and that's what we're so proud of. We make our belts with the finest top grain leathers. We never use splits or any fillers or PVC or any of that. All of our buckles are literally hand drawn with a sketch, a pen and pencil sketch, and then they are carved out of silver, and then the molds are made, and they're all unique on their own.
Well, Laura, that's so interesting, and I can't wait to talk more about it. So just 1 second, you guys. We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we're going to have props and be able to walk you through the belt making process. Stay tuned. My dad is a tradesman, and he relies heavily on his work boots to carry him throughout the day. He looks for things like comfort, durability, and the wide variety of safety features that Justin work boots offer. These are safety toe, soft toe, waterproof, electric hazard, oil and slip resisting, and more. Your work gear matters on the job site, and your work boots are no exception. That's why my dad and millions of others rely heavily on Justin work boots. Get yours today at justinboots.com and use code KYBU15 for 15% off your next purchase. That's code KYBU15. Hey everybody, we are back from commercial. Thanks for tuning into the Kick Your Boots Up podcast. As always, like, subscribe, share this with your friends. Right now, Laura is going to walk us through the belt making process the best way we can here on the podcast. And we brought some props in. We have a few different things. And so I don't know where you're going to start, but I want to start with this piece. It's pretty heavy. This is what you call a die?
That's what you call a die. And every single design that we make starts with a pen and pencil sketch. So if you think about this belt right here, this belt would start with someone designing this buckle. And the buckle is actually a piece of metal with additional leather that's actually inlaid into it. But it would start with a pen and pencil sketch, as would the design of the embossing on the belt.
Wow.
But what's really unique about, and each buckle is uniquely designed,
Yes.
as is the design of this embossing, okay?
Okay.
So this embossing, however, starts with the sketch, and then a steel die is made for each single design.
Wow.
Okay, and it's got to be made for each single size as well. So these are made one by one, and then they go into a machine and they're heat pressed into the leather to create the relief and the embossing that you see in here. And then these are then hand painted sprayed and hand painted, almost like a piece of furniture. If you think about them, they're rubbed so that they get the beautiful patina and the different shades of brown that you use. So it's a lot that goes into each and every piece, and that's just a part of it.
Yeah,
that doesn't show about stitching it or putting the buckles and the snaps on. So that's just a little tip of the design, where it starts with inspiration, pen and pencil sketch, and then the dyes, and then the manufacturing.
That sounds pretty revolutionary. It sounds like you guys have created like a pretty good stamping process. And same here, even.
Right.
Talk about this process too, because the leather starts
So
bare.
it starts with bare latigo, and then it goes through, it's embossed, and then it's hand painted, one shade, and then another shade, and then it continues to add colors to it to get it to its final stage. And they're sprayed and then hand rubbed in between. And then, of course, it's stitched, and voila, it ends up as the final buckle and belt.
The finished product.
The finished
that
product.
Is so
we joke
neat.
sometimes people think you put a cow on one side of the machine and out pops a belt, but no, there's so many more steps to it than that.
I love that. Maybe you guys should start doing a campaign that's
there you go.
eat more chicken or something, like the Chick-fil-A cows. That's so funny.
So,
well, thank you for sharing this with us. We're
You're
going to take
welcome.
a quick break and get set, and we'll be right back to finish the story.
Since 1879, our iconic boots have been trusted on ranches, job sites, and beyond. Now we bring that legacy to our new Justin jeans. Our jeans are meticulously crafted from a blend of materials, offering uncompromised comfort and toughness. Boots, jeans, and clothes built for men who demand nothing less than craftsmanship and style. Find a retailer in your area at justinboots.com.
Oh, for real. And there's so much I could ask there. So I wish we had all the time in the world, but I do want to ask you a little bit. Going back to, this is so relatable to boots. Everything is an artisan.
Right.
How do you find people that are so creative and care about their work and do the belt, like have a passion for belts?
Well, they don't always start out making belts. They start
Okay.
out as craftsmen. Okay. So we have, and sometimes they start out as apprentices. So because some of the people in our sample making department have been there for 30, 40 years, as you can imagine.
Wow.
They can't do this forever.
No.
And so we created a apprentice program, and we recruited students and some people from other parts of our factory that maybe did something else. Maybe they were on the buckle, putting on the snaps and the buckles,
Yes.
or maybe they were in a different part, and we brought them into the apprentice program, and they became sample makers. So we really had to sort of, evolve the department so that you continue to have fresh and seasoned.
Yeah. And how many, I'm going to put you in the hot seat just for a second. And it's okay if you don't know the full answer, we can talk through it. How many steps does it take to make a belt from start to finish with the buckle, with the snaps?
So many steps. I
People
can't
would
even
not think about that.
No, so many steps.
And when you go to put on your belt, you think, oh, wow, this was probably so simple with a machine or something. But it is way deeper than that.
Yes, it is way deeper than that. First of all, you got to start with the leather. You've got to start with the leather, and then the people in the factory that cut the leather. That's a skill, because
That
you really
is.
have to try to figure out how to get the maximum yield out of each and every skin. And then think about skins. Think about your body. Do you have any scratches anywhere on your legs or wherever? Well, think
Yes.
about cows. They have barbed wire, so you really have to maneuver cutting the leather out. And then, of course, there's just so many steps. You'll have to come to the factory sometime, or we should get some video and show.
Of course. That would be fun. We'll have to bring the viewers along.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We'd like to do that.
Yeah, and speaking of that, talk about saving money and stretching your dollar. Having a cowhide that's cut out in an awkward pattern as it is, just being able to get 10 straight lines for a belt is a lot. Do you know how many belts you can get from one hide of leather?
Depends on the hide. Depends on the hide.
Okay, so yeah, that's fair. But either way, that is so incredible. And I just want everyone out there to know that there's different levels of belts too. If you want a plain, simple work boot or work belt, that's okay too. That you guys make it all.
Right.
And then I've even seen like the concho type for the
Right,
women's.
we have Western work belts that are really more plain, just good honest strap of leather, good solid buckle. We have tooled belts, we have fancies, we have show belts, we have braided belts, we have concho belts, we have chain belts for women, all different kinds.
Yeah, and they're beautiful. And I will say too, my husband has we've kind of been in like a workout weight loss challenge. And my husband has gotten down to his high school weight, which is so not fair.
Oh dear.
But his belt has become like the one thing he can't live without because all of his pants don't fit. And so you guys, even if you don't realize it, it's a huge tool as well.
It is.
Because literally a tool belt,
yeah, that's right. We can fix him up.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, he actually wears them. Of course, he knows
Justin,
someone.
Exactly. He's got connections.
We make sure that he is wearing the jeans, the boots, the belt, everything. But he loves it. He loves the fact that he needs it too is really cool. So, Laura, thank you so much for enlightening us on the belt industry. Who knew that it would have taken so much and that there was so much that goes into this? I so appreciate you taking the time to sit with us, and we've learned a lot. So thank you.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
And if you're out there listening, please don't forget, subscribe, share this with your friends. If you have questions about the belt industry or how belts are made or anything that you want to ask Laura, feel free to comment below and we'll send them her way. Also, we can't thank you enough for joining us on the Kick Your Boots Up podcast, and we'll see you the next time you kick your boots up. Thanks for joining us on Kick Your Boots Up. I'm your host, Taylor McAdams, and we can't wait to share the next story of the West. Until then, feel free to subscribe, and leave us a review. Follow us on social media at Justin Boots to keep up with our next episode. And we'll see you the next time you kick your boots up.